Welcome back, everybody, to Make It Simple TV. This is the show where Andrew McCauley and myself, Heather Porter, bring you our inner circle of experts from all over the world to share their tips, tools, and resources on life and business. So, of course, I am joined by Andrew. Welcome back, Andrew.
Hey Heather, great to be here. Looking forward to the call as always. Today's going to be a fun call, I think. I can already feel some craziness going on. This guest, I've been lucky enough to travel around the world, as I have with a lot of our guests, but travel around the world, and I was lucky enough to introduce him to Australian football. Don't know if he liked it too much, but it was great to do that, and looking forward to the call today.
I am too. We've already been having a good old laugh behind the scenes. So, let me introduce our guest. His name is Eric Lingenfelter, and he is known as the marketing technology's go-to guy for many successful online marketers. He bridges the ever-growing gap between marketing and technology. He manages his own web development firm, Site Builder Corporation, with offices in Lynchburg, Virginia. With more than 120 combined years of web technology experience, his firm is responsible for more than 3,500 small business owners' online success ranging from small company startups to very large public firms. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Hello, hello. Good to see you all.
I think we should both share, Andrew, before we get started, how we know Eric. You start.
Well, one dirty, sleazy night in a club. No, we won't go there. No, Eric and I, we were both involved with the Ultimate Internet Boot Camp, and essentially that was a 5-day event that was one of T. Harv Ekker's one of his programs that he put on, and Eric was the brains behind a lot of that sort of stuff. He was his team did an amazing job. If you can imagine 500 or so people in a room, all with laptops, their own laptops, all hooked up to the internet at the same time, and this is not through Wi-Fi, by the way. This is all wired up, so you can imagine how many wires and cables there were. And everything had to run super smoothly, otherwise people were paying for an event that they couldn't do much at. So Eric's team did a lot of that putting together, and then Eric was also one of the trainers and teaching a lot of people about using WordPress, and just a lovely guy. Everyone loves Eric, and it's crazy how much they love him, especially by the end of the week. But I was so lucky to be spending a lot of time with Eric on all sorts of places around the world, Singapore, Australia, all over the US. And just a fun guy, and I'm looking forward to having a chat. But that was where we met, and we'd always hang out after the event, because these events would go for 12, 14 hours a day, and at the end of it, we're just so brain drained from teaching people stuff. It was good to hang out with people that didn't really have have a hidden agenda. They were just happy to just relax and talk about anything except internet marketing. So that's how I met Eric, and it was great. I always had fun with Eric every time we were traveling.
He's a cool guy. Eric, I remember one of the, I guess, first times I was really connecting with you was in Arizona. We were sitting at T. Harv Ekker's house. Do you remember that meeting?
I do. That was fun.
So, Eric, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your journey? So where did you come from, and how did you end up as the go-to guy for marketing technologies?
Well, I remember working for other people, and I don't know about you guys, but have you ever, like, when you're working with somebody and you're seeing how their decision-making process works, and they're like, man, I would do that differently. I was the guy who always thought I could do it better, and working for someone else was a challenge for me. And so I decided to kind of go out on my own, but I wanted to come up with some sort of business model that no one was doing, because I was creative at that point. And creative, by the way, is a great way to go broke. But when I started getting into web development, it was because there was no overhead. There was no, I didn't have to buy a storefront. I could work out of my basement. In fact, I always tell people when I started my business, I had two things going for me. One was a basement, and one was a dream. And that was about it. I didn't have anything else. But I spent a lot of nights up from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. when most people are slowing down for the day, is when I kind of ramped up and learned kind of how things worked with this internet. I remember in 96, I had just started my MBA, and I was going to this college, and they got this new thing called the internet. And I was like, wow, what is this internet thing? I think it's something where you can, like, share recipes. That's really what I thought it was for like a year, and it became very apparent very quickly that that this internet thing is how people are going to do business in the future. And when I saw that, and I had this basement and this dream, I decided this is what I want to do, because I don't want to have management of inventory and all this stuff. I used to run a restaurant right before I left my day job. I did a lot of things up until that point, but if some friends of mine owned a restaurant, they wanted the general manager to come in, take partial ownership, and kind of dig them out of a hole. And I worked 90 hours a week, killing myself, and it was on top of that 90 hours a week that I started to learn about the internet, and that ended me, I just got all the way to the end, and here I am, surprise! No, there's a lot more involved between that, but that was the piece that had me excited. When you start something and you immediately get chopped at the knees, and you start something else and you get chopped at the knees, and you don't have any short-term victories or anything going on that makes you feel like you're on the right track, it's difficult. And I had those days, but I also had victory after victory, and I counted those small ones, those little small victories. They started adding up, and with the support of my wife, because there's a lot of support, I'm sure, Andrew's wife, and Heather, you're Porter, right? You're not married, right?
I am Porter, but I've had a long-term partner who actually works with us who's a web developer, and
okay.
Yeah, so he supports too.
I got it. So support is amazing when you have it, and it's absolutely deafening when you don't. And so I was lucky enough to have a wife who really supported everything I did, and I could tell you a lot of stories, but I'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, come on, more stories. Well, we'll get into those in a minute.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just curious. You've been in this industry for a long time. Where do you see it going next? Because here's why I asked that question. Yes, anybody could get started being a web developer, and I guess now the trend has been to move offshore, and lots of people are going to the Philippines and India to get websites done and developed. Do you see that trend continuing to happen? What about for those of us that work in Western countries? Where do you see us fitting into the whole equation?
Well, I have a team of people. There's 13 of us, and we are here in the U.S. We're in, some of us in Virginia, Florida, Utah, a couple other places, and we started as brick and mortar. Well, we started in my basement. My house was brick, so I guess that's brick and mortar. But once we got a real office and started, we had I truly believe that the only way this was going to work is if they worked here in Lynchburg, Virginia, where my offices are. And I learned pretty quickly that that's not necessary. But to answer your question, where I see things going is there. Man, there's so many ways I can answer this question, but the easiest way I can sum it up is that if the distance between getting what you want and asking for it for the right thing, that's the gap. People don't know what to ask for. So when you go overseas, if you don't have someone who understands internet marketing, they're going to give you exactly what you asked for, and what you're going to get is exactly what you asked for. So you're probably going to mess that up a lot if you're not sure what you even want. And even if you're sure, and even if you say the right things and ask for the right things, what you get back is sometimes, it's frustrating, to say the least. And the number of people, can I give you a scenario? The scenario that happens to me most is I'll start working with a new client. They'll go, "Wow, you guys are expensive," and I say, "No, I think we're actually cheap compared to what people are charging in this industry." In my mind, I say that, but they end up going offshore, and they have this deadline, let's say October 15th, where something's got to go live, and they're waiting on that person to give them what they want. They're waiting. They finally get it, and oh my gosh, it's horrible. It's nothing what they wanted. So what they end up doing is paying them to do it, and then coming and finding a company like mine. They paid them to do it wrong. Now they're paying us to do it, but also they're paying us to get it done fast. And the fast part is kind of like when you go to the printer and you ask the printer to have this thing finished by tomorrow. They're going to say rush rate, And so in the web business, it's kind of the same way. If you all of a sudden you hit me with a deadline and it's got to be done, we'll get it done. We're good at that. But it's going to cost a whole lot more. So these people think they're going to go save money by going offshore. They don't know what they're asking for. They get what they actually ask for, which is difficult to fathom, but it happens. Unless, of course, they've been working with one team for years and they've trained them. That's a different story. We can talk about the success of it later. But the frustration that people have is they hire the company messes up, then they pay them typically because they don't know that they shouldn't until they actually get the result. And then they come pay an American company, which costs a whole lot more, a rush rate to get something done. And then it's crammed, everything's crammed into this tight little time frame, and nothing gets tested like it really truly should. It goes live, and it's a disaster, and I get blamed. Ugh.
That's hilarious because Heather and I are sitting here laughing, going, "Wow, we're not the only ones who go through this experience."
Oh, yeah.
We know that's the case. So, hello, we got visitors. Just thought he'd pop in.
I love it.
But you're right. I mean, we get this all the time, and people say to us, "Oh, I can go and get this for $3 an hour in India or $3 an hour in the Philippines or whatever it is." It's like, well, go and get a $3 an hour job and expect $3 an hour results. And people are like, "Oh, no, but these guys, they say they're really good and all this sort of stuff." And same thing, they come back and they say, "Oh, we should have got it done 6 months ago with you. Can you fix it up?" And we're like, sometimes now we look at it and go, "You know what? We're not going to fix it up because we'd rather start from scratch because the amount of effort, sometimes the quality of work is so bad that it's better and quicker for us to start again than it is to try and fix up what we've found that these people are doing." And that's a generalization, but we're finding that a lot.
Yeah, and usually the person you're talking to that's overseas speaks English, but no one else does.
Right.
And if you ever, they're able to type it. Let's put it that way. They're able to communicate through instant messenger. But I've had times way back in the beginning of my business where I'm like, man, I need more help because we have more projects than I have resources to get this stuff done. I tried 3 times to get an offshore company. I know what I'm doing. I know how to ask for the right thing, and it was almost impossible for me to get what I actually wanted. And then we ended up having to build it twice. I mean, we had to explain it and then got it back and then end up building it at the last minute. And it's just like, never doing it again. But you said, Heather, where is it going?
Yeah.
And I mean, talking about outsourcing and so forth, remember I said the distance earlier? That there's what people really want here, and there's what they actually get, and they're away from each other. That gap is wide. But where I see things going in the short run is the people here in the U.S. Who are hiring U.S.-based firms are able to communicate better. And where I see the internet going, let's just jump forward to 2020 or 2030. Let's say 2025. I like that better. In 2025, internet websites are going to start to do the thinking for the people that are visiting them. That's what I believe will happen. Right now, we have to tell computers what to do. We have to tell computers to execute functions, and when triggers, which is someone's opting in on a web form or somebody clicking a button or whatever the action that somebody has to do to cause something to happen, that trigger is the thing that causes all this automation stuff to happen in the background. But I believe where it's going is it's going to get smarter, it's going to get better, but more importantly, it's going to start making decisions for the website owners instead of the hair pulling out that happens now when someone's new to this internet business and they don't know how to get started, they don't know what to do next, they don't know where to begin. And then they count on a consultant, and sometimes the consultants are awesome and know what they're doing, and sometimes they're not, and they still charge a lot either way. But where does it go from here? And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I have an iPhone. I've already pre-ordered my iPhone 6. I'm not sure when somebody's watching this, but they just became available last week to pre-order. And I think that phone thinks for me quite a bit. There's a lot of stuff in there that if that existed back in 1990, people would be like, oh my goodness, that's scary, how amazing that is. But where websites are right now is 1990. And where smartphones are today is where I believe the internet will be as far as websites go in 2025, when people visit a website and it's going to kind of walk them through the process, whatever that process is. And that part I get excited about. I want to be part of that revolution, and help smooth the path that it takes to get there.
We're already seeing I don't know what it's called now, dynamic content, I think, where it depends on if you're a member of a particular website. There's a few that do this already. They already know what your preferences are. They know what sort of content you like. So when you visit that site, it usually delivers that content according to the preferences that you set originally. So it can be one sort of website, but depending on the person you are and the preferences you've got, it shows you different things. And I think that's going to become part of it, as you said. I really agree with that. But you won't have to log in. They'll just know through your own personal browsing history, I guess, and the things that you've liked. I mean, the information that we can already get from people just through social sites, like Facebook likes and that sort of thing, is absolutely crazy. What data there is out there right now. And I think that they're going to start using this information so much more smarter once we start moving forward. I think you're right.
And I want to add to that if I can. I had a call with a client today who's in a business. His business is up in Canada, and what they do is they go into large corporations, 100 million plus. That's who their target audience is, and their whole reason for existing as a business is to take the information that those companies have right now that they're not benefiting at all from. And the way he describes it, I think, is brilliant. He says that most businesses have information obesity, and they just have it's all over the place. None of it makes sense, and nothing really hones in on what you should do as a business. Where's the low-hanging fruit? What's the next thing that I need to do in order to get to the next level of my business? And that bloat or that obesity of information in 2025 or 30 is going to be the very thing that there's going to be systems for that will automatically do the things you just described, Andrew. And that part of it, I'm not scared of it. Some people say, "Ooh, that's scary," and I even said that earlier in the show today. But I'm not really scared. I'm excited, and I can't wait to kind of see how it all comes together because I know it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, that's right. You can say it's scary, but at the end of the day, whether you're scared or not, it's going to happen. Yep. So you might as well get excited about it and say, well, if it's going to be scary, I might as well get over my fear and embrace it because you ain't going to hold it back, that's for sure. So, right. So talking about these sort of things, what's one of the best or a tool or resource, your favorite one that you really can't live without right now?
I probably use. As soon as you started saying that, I know the answer. I started to use this tool probably 4 years ago when it first came out. It was called jingproject.com is where you would go, which if you go there now, it just does a redirect to I think TechSmith is the maker of it. But what this tool does, if you're not familiar with Jing, just go to Google, type the word Jing, J-I-N-G, into Google, and there's a free download. It's free to use, and here's how it works. Let's say you're working on your website. So all the people who are watching this, you probably have a website or you wouldn't be watching, I would assume. So you have this website and you have this correction that needs made and you want to tell your web development team what it is. So you have to use words. And when you use words, you have to type it. And that energy that it takes is almost exhausting. What Jing allows you to do is go into the screen, look at your website, the thing that you want to change about your website, drag a box over the website for the area that you want to make a change to, and then take a picture of it and then let you create arrows to point at whatever the thing is that's not right about it, and then even put words on it. This paragraph here needs to move down 3 paragraphs. And when the web developer gets it, they're like, oh, thank goodness, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't have to clarify 3 or 4 times back and forth. But from a web developer standpoint, and there's another cool thing, let me say this as well. Not only does it take pictures of your screen, but it takes up to a 5-minute video of your screen with you talking and pointing with your mouse. And it's truly one of the quickest, easiest tools. Andrew, I don't know, or Heather, has anyone ever said Jing before if you've asked that question in the past?
No, I don't think anyone's said Jing before, but we use Jing every single day and multiple times a day. We love it too, and you're right, spot on.
If they charged $100 a month for it, I'd have to buy that for every one of my employees. Hope TechSmith's not listening, because we use it that much, and it's just it's a dream come true for being able to communicate faster and easier.
We use it for that sort of stuff too, obviously, because we're in the same sort of business. But if you're not in the web business and you're thinking, well, why would I want Jing? Here's a cool way to do it: is that if you've ever got testimonials or somebody saying something nice on social media, like they just put a post up and says, "Hey, thanks very much, John Smith, for doing what you do," or there's a tweet out there that you want to capture. You can't really download tweets and posts. We use Jing all the time to grab that and say, well, there's a testimonial that we can stick on a website later. At least you've got that image, you've got that information there, because if you see something on the web and you think, oh, I'll come back to it later, and it's on a feed like a social media feed, you may never see that again. So we use Jing for that sort of thing. And anyone out there listening, if you've ever got someone saying something nice or interesting, then you may want to do a Jing capture for that too. So great tool, Eric. I love it.
Can I say one more quick thing about that?
Sure.
Neither of us said the most important, coolest thing about it is after you do the capture, you click a button. It uploads either your screenshot or your entire video file up to a server that's owned by TechSmith, or Screencast is where the things are hosted, which is free. Mm-hmm. And after it gets up there onto the internet somewhere, which you don't have to even worry about where that is, it automatically puts a link to that screenshot or video on your clipboard on your computer. So Control-C to copy something, and then Control-V or Command-V if you're on a Mac. That when you take this screenshot, put it up on the web, after you click a button, within a couple of seconds, it's on your clipboard. So you compose the email, you paste. So it's like create new email, paste, send. I don't have to do anything else. I'd say more than half of the emails that I send are one thing in the email, the URL to the Jing, because it explains everything I need them to do or want them to do. And so I just want to throw that in there too, so people understand that it's not just cool to grab the screen, but it's also amazing to get the information to the intended recipient as soon as humanly possible.
Brilliant tool. So Eric, what are 3 simple tips that you can offer up in your area of expertise to our viewers?
I think the first one is split testing is like sex in high school. Well, back when I went to high school. Everybody talked about it, but no one was really doing it. And split testing your website is something that people talk about all the time. I know some really amazing, well, I don't know if they're amazing marketers so much, but they're amazing at what they do, who say they split test, but they don't. And they don't because they just don't understand how easy it can be, and they never take the time to actually do it, because it does take some thought, it does take strategy, and it does take a little bit of work, but honestly, I do split testing for some of my clients, and I spend about an hour a week that they pay me to handle the whole thing. I take care of literally all of it for about an hour a week for some of my clients, and the difference that you end up with, like you might have a website right now that's A, and then B is another version of it. So you might have a headline up there that says, our hot dogs are the best. And then the next one says, if you bite into our hot dogs, you'll understand, ... Those are 2 headlines at the top of a web page. Which one's going to cause people to want to buy more hot dogs? I don't know. So A/B split testing sends half of the traffic to one, half of the traffic to the other, and then looks to see which one has more orders or opt-ins or goals achieved. And the reason split testing is so amazing is that A and the B are very, very similar, except for that one nuance. But once, let's say that B won, now B becomes the new A, and then you test something else, then you test something else. With the average client that actually gets into it, we've seen, I don't know if you've done this with your clients, Andrew, but we've seen upwards of 20 and 30% shifts upward in increase in opt-ins. Now, a 20% increase in opt-ins per month, annualized, gets sickening with what that really means to a business's bottom line. And if you don't know anything about split testing, go to Google, do a search, go to VWO.com. VWO is what I use, Visual Website Optimizer, for all my clients. It's fast, it's easy. There's a lot of other software out there that's great too. I'm not saying that's the only one. It's just the one I'm most familiar with. Look at what happens and how quickly and easily you can make a change. And I spent more time on that one than I'll spend on you said 3, right? And I caught you muted.
Yes.
Okay, so split testing is don't let it be like sex in high school for you. Don't just talk about it, do it, because it can make a huge difference in your bottom line. The next one is where did I put them? Here they are. These right here, I just had my assistant purchase. I don't know if you can see that. What's it say on there? Can anybody read it?
Thank you.
It says thank you. But these are cards that are blank inside, which means you have to actually write something with one of these. And this is old-fashioned, but I don't think we thank people enough the right way now that the information age has taken over. And I've decided, based on a post of a good author that I read in Medium, he said, I challenge everybody to make thank you cards next time your clients pay you. So hopefully, I don't know if any of my clients are watching right now, but if they are, you're going to get one of these this month. As soon as you make your payment, I'm going to handwrite a thank you note. I don't know if you've ever done that, Andrew, but it makes me feel good. But I think that client is going to be like, holy crap. What? You mean not just an email receipt, but an actual thank you note? I don't think people do that enough. So that's tip number 2. And number 3, Gary Vaynerchuk is probably one of my favorite guys in the whole world. My wife calls him my man crush, and I'm okay with that because it's kind of true. But what Gary did was pretty amazing. People buy wine at his parents. His parents own a wine store, and I'm sure if you're familiar with his story, which I'm not going to get into, you understand he sells wine. Now, he found somebody who ordered a $15 bottle of wine one time. And he noticed that the guy, when he bought the wine, filled out this little form they have and put his Twitter handle. And so he goes to Twitter, Gary does, and Gary looks it up and starts watching what this guy does. And he's watching this guy on social media, watching a Colts game, I think it was, watching the quarterback. Gary doesn't have to watch the game because every single move that the quarterback made is in this guy's Twitter feed. This guy who bought the $15 bottle of wine loves the quarterback, and I can't remember who it is, for the Colts. That's information. That's information that you wouldn't know if you didn't look at his Twitter feed. So he buys a jersey, a signed jersey, Gary does, well, his parents' business did, and sent that as a gift to a $15 customer. Now, what do you think that did to that guy and everyone that he knows who enjoys wine with him? I mean, he'll go to his grave telling that story over and over. And Gary told the story, and everybody's telling stories. So here's my point. My point is that the biggest thing that people are missing in social media, because they think it's about sipping coffee and talking about what they're doing at the present moment and all that stuff. But if you use social media properly and you actually tell the stories as they happen in your business, or you might say, I don't have any stories. I just gave you a way that all you got to do is find your top 10% of your customers, which might only be 3 of them, depending on your business. Find out where they are on Twitter. Find out what they love. Look at their social media stuff, because they're going to share what they love. And do something out of the blue, unexpected for them, and watch what happens in your business. Because when that happened with Gary, he actually didn't hear back from the guy for a month, and Gary was like, crap, did it even get to him? I don't even know. But then that guy came back and said, I cannot believe, because he's a real busy guy, he's traveling internationally, I believe, as the story goes. And I'm saying all this to say that it's no longer about customer, orders, fulfillment, business, back. It's not that anymore. It's becoming humanized. Business is becoming humanized with social media. And if you don't understand how to do it, just tell stories. Tell stories as they happen in your business, and you'll do it. You'll be doing social media 10 times better than most people who are saying, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Because that's all I see from half the people that are doing social media, and it makes me want to throw up a little bit.
Absolutely. Eric, I love those tips so much. And I know we're starting to get to the end of our show, but a really important thing that I'd love to know is, Obviously, as business owners, we all go through lots of highs and lots of lows. What is a mantra or quote that keeps you going?
I'm going to tell you who the author of this is after I tell you what it is, because if I told you first, you might not think it's that cool. But I think it's probably one of the coolest, and I'm not even going to get emotional at all when I tell you this, ish. There's bad stuff happens in business. Bad stuff has probably happened today to anybody listening. And when bad stuff happens, we have a choice as people to react to it however the heck we want. And when I think about a difficult time, I think of this quote constantly in my head. And the quote is, it's not why me, because that's what we do, right? We always go, why me? Why do I have to deal with this? It's not why me, it's what next. What's next? And so every time I feel bad about something or something doesn't go the way it was or should, I can get down. I can get like down and out. And my wife is the one who coined that phrase. She just said it one day. And when she said it, I'm like, dang, that's good. Can I use that? So here I am sharing it every time I get the opportunity. Next time something happens to you and you're tempted to say, why me? Don't do it. Because the sooner you get to what's next, the sooner you get past it. And so why me? Get rid of that and add what's next. That's the mantra.
I love it. I love it. Your wife is amazing. She's an awesome, very awesome person. I know she's given you so much support over the time, and I've been lucky enough to meet her a few times. So that's really, really cool. What's one thing you'd like to be known for?
I have a brand that I'm developing right now. You can probably see it on the screens behind me. It's called Generate More TV. But the idea is about generating more with less. I think with technology and with all the things that the internet's doing, there's a lot of stuff to learn. And I think people are starting to generate less with more. They're trying to buy more technology, do more stuff, but they're getting less out of it. And so what I'd like to be known for, I think, is part of the revolution of the generating more with less. Technology is supposed to make things easier, and it can if it's implemented properly. And I get goosebumps when I think about some of the people who are doing horrible, 6 or 7 different systems working together to try to accomplish one goal, and you've done it too with Entreport and Fusionsoft and these different systems, and we take one compartment or one bucket and make all these different things happen, and their life literally changes. And they get rid of some human resource they didn't need, and they actually get things going the way they really thought they should have. They're generating more with less now as a result of it. So what I would love to be able to do is start a revolution of people who are less frustrated and more opportunity seeking and getting. Seeking is one thing, but getting and finding is what it's all about. And when you find it after hard knocks, after hard knocks, after hard knocks, you're probably not going to do it anymore because you're human. But if you start getting traction, getting momentum, making things happen, counting on stuff to work, getting it set up right, and it actually works, you get confidence. And when that confidence starts, you're unstoppable. And that's the kind of thing that I want to be known for, is helping people do that, to get confidence, to be better and do more in their life with less.
Beautiful. When does it start? Generate More TV.
I'm actually in the process right now of recording a whole bunch of content, and the whole purpose of Generate More TV is for people to come and ask any question they want. And I've taken hours and hours and hours of video and transcribed it and time-coded it so that you can ask a question about, how do I build a list? And I might have 6 different videos or 16 or 60 videos that talk about list building, and it shows up in a search result similar to Google that lets you click play and go straight to the minute or the second when I'm talking about whatever I said, because you can't search video. And the most frustrating thing to me is when I go to a video and I have to watch a 16-minute video to find a 30-second nugget. I want to give the nuggets based on the questions that people are asking, and so this Generate More TV movement is going to start with me becoming a resource for people. And when they ask a question that I don't have an answer for, it gets sent to me, and I answer the question. And when I answer it, I let them know that it's answered, and then they can come back and hear that answer. And if they want it faster, that's the only way I'm going to charge money for this, is I'll do a consult with them to answer their question faster. But the whole point of it is I want to become almost, I would love to take my brain and all the experiences I have and all the things that I've done, document it all, which is what I'm in the process of doing, and it's going to take 2 years to do that, by the way. Then, and only then, will I have an asset that is a resource for as many people as humanly possible. And that's this revolution or movement that I want to create, called Generate More.
Very cool. Now, where do people find out more about you if they want to connect with you?
Well, my Twitter handle is Eric Ling, ERICLING. That's one way. Private message me there. Another way is if you go to the website sitebuildercorp.com, SITE, like a website builder, sitebuildercorp.com, you'll see this amazing website. It is the coolest website you've ever seen in your life. It's a big white background with a logo and a black and white paragraph. I say that in jest because that's all it's ever been, folks. I've never, ever, ever thought about building a website because I can't explain what I do for people because it depends on them. And when they want to see what I've done for other people, I usually say, then we probably shouldn't work together. And they're like, what? I'm like, well, I need to know what your pain is, what your problem is. So you can connect with me at sitebuildercorp.com. Our phone number's there, and you can contact us and do a consult if you choose. And I'm not into the whole website thing, even though that's what we do for people. Isn't it crazy? We don't cut our own hair. We're the barbers who don't cut our own hair.
Oh, man. So as we start to wrap up, Eric, any last words to our viewers?
I don't know. I think that we didn't get to tell any fun stories, and we should do this again sometime. Just do story time with Andrew and Heather. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. But you know, I think that the one thing, if you have viewers out there who are trying to be better and do more, and they don't know where to find answers to their questions, maybe stop asking and start doing. Because when I started this whole Generate More TV idea, I talked about it, and I went through all these things in my head as to how it's going to be, and that was like 8 months ago. I didn't start doing it. And the story hasn't really changed in 8 months. I didn't start doing it until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And the only reason I did it is because I set a deadline that said, I'm going to do my first one right here. And until you set a deadline and start doing something, it doesn't exist. It's not real. It's just it's like an imaginary friend. People make fun of that. If you're going to do something, do it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm eating my own cooking right now, and I know that's how you guys act with your business as well. You just do it, like you're doing this show right now. And by the way, thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful for it, and I would love to do it again sometime. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks, buddy. We'd love having you on. Of course, we'd love to have you on again as well. And you're right, we didn't get to too many stories, which may be a good thing for one or two of us anyway.
Possibly.
But thanks very much. I love those tips. I love sharing that stuff, and especially that last piece. Just do it. We see so many people all the time talking about, I want to do this and I want to do that and blah blah blah, and they don't do it. You know, what's stopping you? Just get off your backside and start doing it. And I think that's what it is. And you know, technology these days has made it so easy to do that. It's all that talk in your head that's stopping a lot of people. So
that's right.
Anyway, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Heather, where can people find out more? Where can they get all the notes for the show?
Guys, we would love to have you come on over to makeitsimple.tv, and you'll see the replay there with Eric and us, and information about him and his links to his fabulous blank website. And as always, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks so much for being on the show, Eric. I know I feel like we should have a whole other 2 hours to keep having story time.
Yes, that'd be fun. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.